The South African political landscape has altered significantly over the last few years as former party loyalists have broken rank, formed their own political parties and contested in local government elections. ActionSA, led by former DA stalwart Herman Mashaba, is one such party. He joins me now to give his views on the future of coalitions in South African politics. Mr. Mashaba, happy 2023. Appreciate your time. We know you're still on holiday, so we are very grateful.
Thank you so much, Ruben. Good afternoon to Newzroom Afrika listeners and viewers, and the compliments of 2023. It's going to be a very difficult year for all of us as South Africans, but we've got to face it and face it head on.
Well, thanks for the wishes. Now, ActionSA has been around for a little over 2 years now. So before we talk coalition politics, let's talk about the last 2.5 years or so for you. What has that political landscape been like for you?
Well, I think it's really been quite a journey that actually disrupted the political landscape in South Africa with the outcome of our 2021 local government elections. As you remember, we launched ActionSA on the 20th of August 2020, and at the time I made a commitment to South Africans that we needed to be strategic because it was during the real height of the pandemic of the COVID. So we wanted at the time to only contest the 3 metros in Gauteng, but we ended up adding 3 more in KZN. So all in all, we contested 6 municipalities in the 2021 local government elections. And we really came out with historic electoral outcomes, emerging only contesting 6 municipalities out of 278, emerging as the 6th biggest political party in the country. But I think what is of significance is what South Africans need to actually be aware of ActionSA. ActionSA contested because of the IEC's intervention. We contested without our name on the ballot paper. We contested as a logo. Thinking that they will confuse our followers. Unfortunately, people turned out for us. Over 550,000 the people voted for us, as I say, making us the 6th biggest political party. But also of significance was also looking at what happened in Gauteng. In Gauteng, we brought the ANC down to 33%, to the 34% in Tshwane and 38% in Ekurhuleni. And in all the 6 municipalities we contested, we brought the ANC under 50%. So we're really grateful for that, including actually for us making history in South Africa, in the historic history of our country, a political party for the first time getting electoral support across all communities. We received just under 22% of Soweto votes. And you look at Alexander, Mamelodi, and so forth. But at the same time, you look at in the suburban areas, we are receiving 20% of the voters in these communities. For the first time in the history of South Africa, where ActionSA is the only party that actually practically appeal to all South Africans. So right now we're busy. Last year, my focus was on actually building structures in preparations for the 2024 provincial and national elections. And I'm happy to announce to South Africans that we are almost ready, because we do now have 9 provincial chairpersons, ethical, good, committed South Africans. So this year, our focus as ActionSA is going to be on voter education and assisting South Africans to register to vote in 2024.
Thanks for that, Mr. Mashaba. But let's talk a little bit about coalition politics. Do you think South Africa has the right temperament for coalition politics?
Well, I think it's not a question whether South Africans have got the same temperament or not. Unfortunately, something that is unavoidable. So whether we like it or not, I mean, any politician or any political party, not only in South Africa, anywhere in the world, if people want to really get outright majority, and I can really tell South Africans without any shade of doubt that no one come 2024 will get outright majority. So whether we like it or not, we are subjected to coalition arrangements. And I think for us as ActionSA, we embrace this new culture, because one thing that has demonstrated one party rule is dangerous for South Africa. 28 years of ANC government, almost 70%, 70 years of national party government. Look at the damage caused by majority political domination. So I think the future of this country, whether we like it or not, is dependent on coalition arrangements. And all of us as political parties must really be prepared to really embrace this electoral outcome.
Now, you talk about embracing, and it's easier said than done. If we take a look at Johannesburg, for instance, or Gauteng, Joburg Mayor Mpho Phalatse, the number of votes of no confidence that she's had to endure, certainly does speak to the failure or the lack of desire to embrace coalition politics, is it not?
Well, I think South Africans must not really be fooled by the disruptions that ANC is committed to do. I remember in 2016 when I took over as the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, they made a commitment openly that my administration is not going to last 3 months. And we were lucky we survived more than 3 years. Actually, I resigned because of DA and ANC were conniving to really have a motion of no confidence against me. And you ask yourself, why was my administration stable? Of all the municipalities was stable because I embraced all the parties that worked with me. I did not really consider whether you were bringing one vote or 30 councillors. I think for me, from day one, you can obviously go into your library. You will see my acceptance speech on the day I was elected on the 22nd of August, 2016. At the press conference, I committed myself to work with all the political parties to ensure that we succeed. And if you look at coming into office, I immediately embraced all political parties. I did not govern on the basis of the political party I was representing at the time as the DA. I represented all the parties, and that's obviously what created a problem between the DA and I, which for me, even up to today, it just does not make sense because once you're in government, whether you've got majority or you're in a coalition arrangement, you have a constitutional obligation to serve all the communities. And that's something that, as I said, unfortunately created an issue with the DA. And it suited the ANC because I was pursuing fraud and corruption cases, and I was prepared to approach the courts to force our law enforcement agencies to act against all these corrupt and fraudulent ANC people. So the DA and ANC, when they started this discussion, because fortunately enough I wasn't born yesterday, I got to know about the secret meetings, and I decided, Herman Mashaba, you are not going to be the one going to be pushed by political parties, so you move on. But I did not actually at the time realize the impact that I'd made to South Africans in the 3 years, because as soon as I resigned, South Africans called upon me to start my own political movement, which gave birth to ActionSA, which we now have. We're ready now, preparing for 2024, and we are confident as ActionSA that we are going to emerge as the second, if not the biggest political party in South Africa come 2024. We're really that confident.
Now, the one thing that you've talked about is the fact that there is no choice and that politicians have to work together because the future of South Africa is coalition politics. Now, let's talk about your relationship with the DA. You've talked about a difference in policy, which is why you left. There is talk on the ground that you may be working with the DA in some form of coalitions in order to oust the ANC. Is this accurate?
Very wrong, I think, inaccurate. I'm working with the DA to ensure that we don't have ANC cadres to continue looting our country. I got into politics to ensure that we can democratically remove the ANC. So our support for DA to really be in government has got absolutely nothing to do with the DA. It's got to do with my country, South Africa, to ensure that we don't have ANC in government. So we're doing everything possible, including actually, as you are aware, in the 3 metros in Gauteng. ActionSA played a key role in ensuring that we have the 3 DA mayors. But unfortunately, it's really been a very difficult journey. I really hope that one day DA can come to their senses to really embrace all South Africans, that once you're in government, you cannot really be like the National Party. You cannot really be like the ANC. Or you can't be like the old DA. Be a new political party that is going to embrace all South Africans, that they deserve public service from you as government.
Now, when you say that the DA needs to embrace all South Africans, are you suggesting that they are heavily favoured towards one section of South Africa, if you will?
Well, I think my practical experience and the reason why I left is because of their focus on what they claim to be their support base and their voters. And I find this really very strange and disturbing, because I cannot understand how a political party can actually ever think that they own voters. Voters are not owned by anyone. They are not slaves. Voters, they've got a choice to decide which political party they support. Whereas in their approach is that Herman, why supply toilets to informal settlements, go and cut grass in Sandton? And I said, no, let me talk to the Sandton and Morningside residents. Let's really work together. We introduced a project called Ari-Seveting. We then involved the communities, both in the poor communities and in the suburb areas. We said, let's get together to work on cleaning of our city. You cannot expect me with my limited budget and also at the same time having an administration dominated by ANC cadres. So I said, on a short-term basis, let's join forces together. Us as politicians, the administration and the society at large, let's work together to clean up our city. Let's give dignity to the poor communities living in squalor without toilets and the dignity. But unfortunately, this did not go well with the DA.
Now, you've mentioned that you and the DA have common ground, and that common ground rests around preventing the ANC from looting government coffers, as you've said. But I'd like to imagine that there've got to be other areas of commonality in order for you to work beyond rooting out the corruption that you speak of. You talk about let's fix South Africa. How does that come together, if you will, with the DA's own stance as you move forward and you look forward to coalition politics?
Well, I think it's, if you look at the outcome of the electoral outcome of the 2024, obviously you're not going to have one or two parties forming government. You're going to need 3 or 4 political parties. We're working hard as ActionSA to bring ANC to the early mid-30s, if they're lucky to really work hard. We are going to ensure that we get the biggest voter turnout, because we are going to spend our energies, resources on voter education, because South Africans have been paralyzed by ANC government to not really believe in themselves. So for us as ActionSA, we know that the only way we can bring a peaceful transition to our country is by bringing people back into politics, by taking responsibility to register to vote. Come 2024, let's vote the ANC out in numbers. So we prepare to work with both parties like the DA, the IFP, and other political formations. So we don't really believe that we'll need 2 or 3. We'll need 3 or 4 parties to come together with the same values. Some values, obviously, we're not going to really have same values altogether. That's why a coalition arrangement, that's when you've got to forget about your manifestos. Look at the manifestos of all the parties that are represented in your government, and you embrace those values, so that government does not really represent ActionSA or a particular political party. It must be something that represents all the parties that are actually serving with you in that government. And that is really our plan. We're going to ensure that we bring ANC to, if they're lucky, in the early 30s, mid 30s. In that way that we know it will be difficult for them to actually find other ethical, moral parties to really work with them. Right now, obviously, I think they are able to corrupt people working other parties to really work with them. So we want to make it difficult by really bringing them down as much as possible come 2024.
Herman Mashaba, ActionSA leader. Appreciate your time, Mr. Mashaba, this afternoon. And we were discussing the coalition future of South Africa. And according to Herman Mashaba, it is all about the coalitions moving forward.